And joining me right now here on the Mark Moses Show, talk a little UCF football as they got their big matchup coming up. That's right, on Saturday, there in New Orleans against Tulane. So my good friend Trace Trylko with Sons of UCF and Eric Lopez with Black and Gold Banneret. Trace, I'll start with you. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing well, preparing for the storm as we all are across Florida. Who had a tropical storm or a hurricane on their mid-November bingo card?
No
The
one.
joys of living in the Sunshine State.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Eric, how you doing today?
Similar to Trace, just hoping everything goes well and okay for everybody in the next couple of days, and we can get back to normal by Friday.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. All right, let's recap what happened last week. We'll start with Trace. I believe you were there because you're everywhere. You're just Carmen San Diego. You're at all these games, and I give you credit. What happened in this 7-point win on the road at Memphis?
Mikey Keene was effective in getting the start for John Rice Plumlee, who got knocked out of the game previous with a concussion-related injury. He was effective, and the Knights were able to run the ball. Again, a balanced attack, and get a win on the road in American Athletic Conference play, which has not happened often under Coach Gus Malzahn. And who would have thunk we'd have a late season top 25 matchup between UCF and Tulane? But the Knights put themselves in position to control their destiny down the stretch run here.
I think the stat was, I saw this over the weekend. The last time Tulane hosted a top 25 team when they were top 25, I think was 1949. No, seriously.
So recently is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's been a while. Eric, I joined you on your post-game show after the game. What did you think of the W by UCF?
That's a win on the road outside the state of Florida. That's a positive. We've been talking about their struggles outside of Florida, and so, look, you get out of there with a win. It's never easy at Memphis. You don't have to go back there for at least scheduled for any time soon. So it keeps you on track to all the goals. All the goals are in front of them. And I think if they can pull off the win this weekend in New Orleans, they should smooth sail into perhaps hosting the conference championship game.
Real quick with Eric, what were fans like on your post-game show? I mean, were they yelling? Were they angry? Are they happy? What's the emotion right now?
UCF fans are never fully happy.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. There's not very fully happy. And obviously everybody talks about the quarterback position and the Mikey Keene and JRP situation and that saga, which has been going on since August. And, yeah, obviously it's heightened by the fact that the coaching staff, and Trace knows this because he's the one that's asking questions to them, and they kind of give him non-answers. I don't know if that's because of Trace or that's just their style. Maybe a little bit of both. So there's still some mystery about the quarterback position.
All right, Trace, you go to these post-game news conferences. I know you go, especially when Gus Malzahn will talk Mondays. What's the feeling right now from the coaching staff with the quarterback position?
Well, I was in Memphis and asked Coach Malzahn if Mikey Keene had shown enough now to be the starter. And he said, we're not going to have a quarterback controversy. Note that it was Coach Gus Malzahn who used the word controversy. I and other members of the media have not used that word. He used the word. He didn't tip his hand at Monday's media availability. Do you ride the hot hand now in Mikey Keene, who was effective in the second half and a big win at home over a then top 20 ranked Cincinnati, and then who went on the road and got the win at Memphis? He's more accurate than John Rice Plumlee, limited a bit more with his legs and running the ball. What does Coach Malzahn do? He likes JRP, but does he disrupt the momentum they have over the last game and a half?
All right, then, Eric, if you're Gus Malzahn, what do you do?
You ride the hot hand. You start Mikey Keene. They've been a much more smoother offense with him in the lineup. I think he spreads the ball, makes better reads. I would just start him, but that doesn't mean you don't play Plumlee. If Plumlee's healthy, he can run some plays. With his running ability, then you do that. But I think Mikey Keene has to start the game.
Trace, would you agree or disagree with that?
At this point, I'd agree with Eric. I think you go with Mikey Keene. He has been effective, and there's a lot on the line, as we've talked about in this one, possible berth and AAC championship game and for UCF hosting. But then again, a couple of weeks ago at ECU, there was a lot on the line in a road game as well, with game day possibly coming to town and top 25 at that point. And the Knights stumbled on the road. It's hard for me to see how he disrupts things by going back to John Rice Plumlee, but you know that he likes him.
All right. I will stay with Trace with this. We're here with Trace Trylko-Sons of UCF, and Eric Lopez, Black and Gold Banneret, talking UCF taking on Tulane. Tell us about Tulane, because I don't think a lot of people, including myself, you've not seen them play that much this year. What do you think of this football team?
I think they're strong on both sides of the ball. So right there, that's a challenge, right? The road game is going to be a challenge anyway. And we can get into UCF's defensive play over the last several weeks and talk about that a little bit more. We saw at ECU that when Holt Nailers, the veteran quarterback, was allowed to just stand there, he completed 30 of 36 passes. And really, Seth Hennigan stood back there. I don't think there was a sack in this game. Couple of turnovers, which has been lacking for the Knights defense so far this season. But you can't let Michael Pratt just stand back there. I don't care which quarterback it is in this league, maybe with the exception of Navy's quarterback. You just can't let him stand there. So can they get pressure on Michael Pratt? And defensively, they're strong as well. They've got Dorian Williams, the defensive player of the week in the Americans. So Knights have their work cut out for them. But you know they want to run the ball and control the tempo of the game. And to their ability to do that and be effective is going to show what kind of game this is. You know, Coach Malzahn said last year in the narrow win that UCF had in what was a down year for Tulane that he saw talent on this Tulane Green Wave team. I don't know that anybody had them leading things at this point with consideration to Houston, Cincinnati, UCF in some order there in the American. But credit to Tulane, they've been effective on both sides of the ball.
All right, Eric Lopez, for the defense. Can they get pressure? Can they? I mean, I've said this for weeks. They bend, they don't break. But they have to play better than that, right, against Tulane?
They do, and it's a valid question. I mean, can they blitz, or is it one of those things where can they get pressure without blitzing? I don't know. It seems like the only time they can get pressure is with blitzing, and even then, that's got to been a question mark. So they're going to have to. Pratt's a very mobile quarterback. Tulane is Tulane the team of destiny? You always worry about playing teams that are team of destiny. Is this their year? They lost early to Southern Miss. We kind of dismissed them. Then they beat Kansas State. They were about a 17-point underdog. You wondered if, what that meant, and they've so far have done well. Although I will caution this. Tulane has been fortunate in the regard in that their schedule hasn't been that tough in conference. Like, they haven't played Cincinnati, they haven't played UCF. It's about to get tougher for them here on the back end. They beat Memphis at home. They gained from behind against Houston. Houston has been dysfunctional all year. So I'm still not sold on Tulane as the best team in the American.
All right, Trace, back to you. What are the keys to the victory if you want to get this W if you're Gus Malzahn?
Well, getting the quarterback decision right would seem to be one of them. I'm going to go in with the assumption it's Mikey Keene. Complete efficient passes. Don't turn the ball over. And run R.J. Harvey an awful lot. 151 yards last week, including a big run. He has emerged over the course of the season. So that for me on offense. And defensively, what we were just talking about there, can they put pressure? They did against Cincinnati. Right? They put Cincinnati's quarterback, they made him move around a little bit and make him uncomfortable, which defense shows up. And defensive coordinator Travis Williams talked about it during his availability on Sunday night, that the defense needs to improve a great deal, need to turn their head and look for a ball, which they don't seem to do very much.
Yeah, that's a great point. What about you, Eric? Your keys to the game?
Get off to a good start. Don't give Tulane confidence. Tulane gets the lead. That should be an electric atmosphere for them. This is their biggest home game they've ever had. They're going to be ticked off because they didn't have college game day. They didn't get it. They went to Austin, Texas instead. So they're going to be fired up, and UCF has to get off to a good start because if they don't, it's going to be an avalanche there a little bit. So get off to a good start. Trace made a good point. Run the ball with R.J. Harvey, play action, pass the ball, defense, get some stops early. Make Tulane press. Make Tulane feel the pressure. In some ways, the pressure is on Tulane. This is the biggest game for them ever. For UCF, this is just another big game for them. They've been through this before. So to me, I think they have an advantage over Tulane in that regard. So take advantage of that by getting off to a good start.
I like you say quick start. What game did they actually get off to a quick start? Temple when they scored 70? Besides that, it always feels like, and maybe Trace, you can answer this, always feels like they do get off to slow starts with their offense.
Well, certainly on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Usually the team they're playing in their first scripted series goes down the field and scores. So I agree with Eric that they need to get off to a good start. A lot of these games have been back and forth, and then they've worn down a team over the course of the second half. So, I'd say pressure on Tulane a bit in this one, but Tulane has a little bit more margin for error. But if they're looking at that schedule, UCF, SMU, Cincinnati, that's a tough murderer's row here. I mean, SMU, which UCF team shows up, right? The team that clamped down on Tanner Mordecai, a guy that would then throw 9 touchdowns, 10 total on the day against Houston. So, the American is certainly interesting this year. You still have several teams in the mix. Tulane, UCF control their destiny. By the way, if UCF were to lose to Tulane, some tiebreakers there. Maybe a return date in New Orleans in a couple of weeks for that AAC championship game.
Yeah, it's a great point. All right, you brought up Harvey. How many carries do you want him to have in this game? Eric, you'll answer. What do you want?
Give me 17. Give me 17.
Yeah, because what did you say, Trace? He had 17 for 150 last week?
He had 151 yards. You know what? We saw Isaiah Bowser in his first season at UCF with 20 plus carries. Give me RJ Harvey all day long.
Wow.
Pile up those carries.
Trace has bailed on Bowser. He's bailed.
No, not bailed on Bowser. Bowser's still effective. 200 plus rushing yards for this team, and I think that's going to be a good day for UCF.
Who caught the touchdown? Was it Baker? Was that the one late in the game for the win? That was a hell of a throw by Mikey Keene. It really was late in the game.
A throw you wonder whether John Rice Plumlee could have made in a similar situation.
Look, I'm with Eric, though. I think you use them both in some capacity. I think you do. I think that's the smart way to go. Just throw everything you can. And we're going to find
Especially in the red zone. Especially in the red zone. You could bring in JRP, run some of that stuff that Gus likes to run, that he's going to run. He's run it with Bowser, the Wild Knight, whatever you want to call it. You can use, I think he will use JRP in those packages. That's my prediction. I think he will if JRP is available.
But are you going to reduce John Rice Plumlee to that Joey Gatewood couple of gadget plays a game kind of guy?
With perhaps actually being more confident that he could complete a pass instead of being more predictable. With Gatewood, nobody had confidence that he could complete a pass. I think JRP has they have more confidence he could complete a pass. So I actually think he'd be a way bigger threat than Gatewood.
You know what's funny about that Wildcat play? As soon as you see Isaiah Bowser come in, mind you, we didn't know that he'd be throwing the ball for a touchdown. He's usually running the touchdown vulture at the goal line, right? But you see him come in. Everybody knows what the play is. Not so effective in stopping it, right? If John Rice Plumlee were to come into a package like that, you have a good idea what he's going to do, but can you stop it?
All right, before I let you guys go, Trace, what's your coverage going to be like for the rest of the week? Getting us ready for the big game on Saturday.
Sons of UCF Live should be good to go. Thursday, live, 8 to 9, streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. As my co-host Adam and Mike, Adam up in the Jacksonville area, Mike in the Fort Lauderdale area. If they're not impacted by the storm, even if I am, we should be able to do a show. But that's the goal, 8 to 9 on Thursday.
Eric, same as you, what's the coverage going to be like?
Hopefully, picks back up Friday. Obviously, blackandgoldbanneret.com. We'll have full coverage of the Tulane game. Getting going. Also, college basketball underway. We hope UCF Florida State Friday, because, well, I'm a little selfish on this one. I'm scheduled to fill in and call this game on the radio side. So I kind of need
UCF a top 25 ranked team? I thought you only did top 25 ranked.
No, maybe that's why they're calling me in to help them out with that. Speaking of which, then I'll be calling volleyball Sunday against Cincinnati. And then we'll have a post-game night shift, big post-game show. We're going to have a clear picture of where UCF stands moving forward after this Tulane game. Big game, because I think the winner of this game, especially if it's UCF, takes a giant step to hosting the conference championship game. And if it's UCF winning this game, I think we could see UCF Cincinnati in a rematch, because Trace read off Tulane's schedule. This nice little story for Tulane may not end well if they don't win on Saturday.
Yeah, they can't overlook SMU, but Tulane Cincinnati could be for playing for a berth in that AAC championship game.
Great point. And Trace, by the way, you and me got to step up our game, where Eric posted the photo with his 4 championship rings.
I'm not impressed. 4? Give me one for the thumb, Eric.
Working on it. We're working
He's
on
working
it.
on it. That's great. Guys, thank you so much for your help and good luck with your coverage for the rest of the week.
Be safe, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.